Well, good morning. It's morning for me, which I realize probably for you it's not, but it is my morning time. We got back from camping just yesterday, and so I'm at home today. I am just trying to get the house back in order. I love camping, but it's always a lot of work, even with a travel trailer. You know, even with when you have a camper, it's still a lot of work. John and I started out off camping in a tent when the kids were young. In fact, I remember we camped on top of Mount Antero, which is a mountain over by where we were just camping, and it's a pretty tall mountain, and we were basically on the top of that mountain. This is over 30 years ago. Our son had just been born. He was about just a few weeks old. And, you know, we were sort of young and naive. And we took him to the top of the mountain with us and camped in a tent. He was an only child at the time. And it was just John and me. And we were on the top of the mountain because John worked for he had just gotten out of college. Or not even, yeah, he was out of college and he was working for a friend of ours who owned a communications company. So John would climb a lot of towers back then and work on antennas and radio stuff, and his degree's in electrical engineering, so that was sort of, you know, and his hobby was amateur radio, so it was a perfect fit for him. He really did enjoy that job. It was, you know, one of his first jobs, and so he was very involved with the radio club, and he was climbing up, he had to climb up a tower and doing some communications up there. I don't know, just that kind of stuff. We had a lot of fun, and Ryan he was such a good baby, very easygoing, but he was young and couldn't tell us that his ears were popping, and we did not, you know, like, that's some of the things you take for granted, like going up to a mountain like that. You know, I mean, we took that for granted, but it was probably, we should not have taken him up there at that age. I mean, I know I talked to our doctor about it too, and he said, yeah, it's fine. But I don't know. Now I think if my kids told me they were going to take, and I don't have grandkids yet, but if I did and they were 3 weeks old and mom and dad told us they were going to take my grandkid up to camp on top of a mountain in a tent at 3 weeks old or 4 weeks old, I would have cringed. I would say, no, I'll babysit. But that's just how it happened. You know, we've camped for so long now, so a lot of things we take for granted. So I was trying to think about some of the things that I really need to, like, be a little more mindful about. Like, so one of the things, you know, whenever you come back from camping, you do want to check for ticks. That's a real thing. And, you know, you can get Lyme disease from ticks, and you do get ticks up in the mountains and in the woods. So, and on Roscoe, you know, your pets, kids, people, you know, we all have to check for ticks when we get home. So that is something that is so important. And then you know, like, a lot of people get nosebleeds up at those altitudes because, you know, where we were, I mean, when you think of Colorado, you think of the Mile High City, which is Denver, and actually Colorado Springs, which is a little bit, you know, like, that's a little bit south of Denver, is higher. There are a lot of places in Colorado much higher than Denver, but, you know, Denver on the Capitol steps, that's a mile high, and then where we go up in the mountains is quite a bit higher than that. And at that altitude, your oxygen is much thinner. It's thinner oxygen. Is that the right way to say that? Yeah, I think so. So a lot of people who are on like oxygen tanks and things like that have to be really careful going up into those areas. So I did want to point that out. And one thing that I always pack when I go camping is nasal saline solution, because your eyes can get really, I mean, not your eyes, well, your eyes too, but your nose can get dry, and a lot of people get nosebleeds. Let me get Roscoe. So a lot of people get nosebleeds at those altitudes. I always make sure I take nasal saline because you do dry out. You've got to drink lots of water, and that's why I always have a big thing of water nearby. John and I bought those big, bottles of water at Sam's Club, and I know part of me feels a little guilty buying them. They're like 20% from recycled materials. They are a Members Mark brand. You know, there's a lot of plastic. And so what we did was we refilled those with water from our tank. But I did like those because they have electrolytes in them. And up in the mountains like that, I like to just make sure that, you know, I'm doing stuff like that as well. So I'm not a big Gatorade fan, but a lot of people will take Gatorade drinks like that because you want to make sure your electrolytes are balanced. Things like that. All those little things that we take for granted because we've been camping for so long, we were talking about on the way home, and I thought, you know, I wanted to talk about, you know, about some of those things here. So John's home. He's actually behind the camera. Say
Hello.
hi, John.
Hello.
So we had a really fun camping trip, didn't we?
Yeah, it was nice. Good getaway.
So, and then we do have a trip coming up. We have a couple more camping trips coming up too. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So we'll probably vlog a little bit. One of them is like a a couple of them are family trips. So we don't really do as much vlogging when all the family's around because I don't know that they like that. So, all right, guys. Well, that's my vlog today, and thanks so much for watching. I hope that you guys are doing well. I'm going to go feed Roscoe, and I'll see you on the next video.
Bye.
Bye.